Hey guys, so today I quickly wanted to go through a split squat biomechanics because I get so many questions about is split squat more ER bias movement or IR bias movement? Are we getting more nutation or counter nutation of the sacrum, and what happens when we hip shift in the split squat? So I just wanted to quickly go through how I view the split squat and how I cue it. So let's start. Let's say we're doing a split squat with the left foot forward, right foot back. We're starting. I always cue a split squat. I want the back femur to be pointed straight down, not back like this, but straight towards the ground, and I want to keep it there throughout the exercise. So if we're starting in left foot forward, right foot back, right femur is in extension, left femur is about 30 degrees of hip flexion, so we will be biased towards ER on the left and more IR on the right, because when we are in hip extension, that is this side is biased more towards IR because hip extension is max propulsion, so we are biased more towards IR, and because of the propulsion arc model, from 0 to 60 degrees we are biased more towards ER, so this innominate and femur will be biased more towards ER. So the starting position will look something like this. This femur will be flexed 30 degrees, our left innominate will be biased more towards ER, and right innominate would go into more relative IR. As we descend down, usually the bottom of the split squat will look something like this as our front leg hits about 90 to 100 degrees. We know from the propulsion arc model from 60 to about 100 degrees of hip flexion, we are biasing this femur and innominate towards IR. Look at my previous video on this, and because we are biased towards IR in this left side and we are biased towards IR on this side, on the back side, the split squat is really IR bias movement, and the sacrum will nutate on both sides. So as the bottom position of the split squat is IR bias, what I get a lot of questions, what happens if I incorporate this hip shift into the front leg? Because as we hip shift into the front leg, sacrum will start rotating towards or orienting towards the front leg, which will create this relative counter nutation on the left side in this case, because left side is forward. So important thing to understand is we are still, in this case, we are still in relative nutation, but we have more relative counter nutation on the left side, just so sacrum can start facing to the left. So in the bottom of the split squat, we are biased towards IR or nutation on both sides, but if we shift into the front leg, we will be more biased towards IR on the down leg and have more relative counter nutation on the side we are shifting towards, just so the sacrum can start rotating to that side, but we are still IR biased at the bottom of the split squat. So if we recap this, the up position or the top position of the split squat, let's say left foot is forward, right foot is back, left side is more ER biased because we are in this around 30 degrees of hip flexion, and we are IR biased on the back side. As we descend into a split squat, the front femur goes to about 90 degrees of hip flexion, which will buy us IR and nutation on this side as well. So at the bottom of the split squat, we are nutated on both sides. But if we incorporate this hip shift to the front leg, we will have more relative counter nutation on this side that we're shifting towards, but we will be still nutated on both sides. So I usually use split squats to gain some IRs back with the people who already got their external rotations back. So you can really meet people where they're at just with a depth of the split squat you're putting them into, because if someone doesn't have relative IR, putting them in 90 degrees would just make them orient their pelvis too much, and there will not be enough of relative motions to really get that legit IR. So you can, if someone doesn't have enough IR to really go into the deepest parts of the split squat, you can put them to a degree that they can still access their relative motions and just work with the hip shifts there. So I hope this helps some of you, and if you have any questions, please write it in the comments or DM me.